Hello, everybody. Erica, do you all have a lot of snow right now where you're at?
No, not really.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I mean the backcountry is okay in spots high up, but there's definitely really low coverage down low, so it makes it challenging.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. We have a lot of dirt,
Hmm.
around right now.
A lot of dirt. It's a good time to get your fitness in shape.
Yep, yeah. It's been like so sunny that our snowpack was actually like more stable than usual for this time of year.
Hmm.
Um, but it's about to not be very stable because apparently we're getting snow, but we'll see.
Hmm. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Cool. Everyone who has already joined, if you want to put where you're based, and your email in the chat box. That way, both myself and Jess over at Trew can get you all some fun things. It always seems like people join right as I'm saying that. And then so many people don't hear it. So yes, email and where you're based out of in the chat. I am Evan, the Coalition Clubhouse headmistress, if you don't know who I am by now. Cool. Yeah. Um, I'm just gonna give it a couple more minutes to see if more people join. Usually people like 10 minutes and I feel like remember that there's something happening and join a little bit later, which is fine. I'm gonna put my name in the chat. Oh, cool. All right. Well, let's get into it. I'm Evan. I am the Coalition Clubhouse headmistress. I'm really happy to be doing Backcountry Beta for another season in partnership. Oops. Okay, it's recording. Sorry, everybody. I had to make sure it was recording. In partnership with Trew. This is a free series, which is really awesome, to help everyone kind of dip their toes or refresh in some skills. It doesn't take the place of formal backcountry education, but it can be a nice foot in the door, or again, like reviewing previous things that you've learned before and freshening up on your skills. So everyone, each time you join a live backcountry beta session, one of the other reasons I ask for your email is you'll be entered into winning a $250 gift card to Coalition and one to Trew as well. And that happens at the end of the season. So if your email is in there, then that's how we'll be able to choose someone. And everyone who joins a live session will also get a little something from Trew and Coalition. So we are going to hop into it. I'm really excited for this one because I feel like no matter how many years I've been in the backcountry, my backpack always seems like very unorganized. And I'm like, oh God, this won't fit, that won't fit. So I'm really excited for this. And I'm gonna turn it over to you, Erika. And if people have questions, it's best to put them in the chat and I can monitor that. So please keep yourselves muted. Yeah, that way we can listen to Erika.
Well, thank you, Evan. All right, well, I'll just start with introducing myself a little bit. I live in Columbia Falls, Montana, which is near Whitefish, Montana. That's the mountain I ski at when I go to the resort. I also spend a good amount of time in Glacier National Park and the surrounding mountains around here in the backcountry. And I've my work as a nurse in the hospital here, as in the cardiac unit. And yeah, that allows me to have a lot of free time to ski and make some marketing content for Trew and Atomic. And I just love to ski as much as I can. And yeah, trying to bring all of my knowledge I've collected over the years and try to educate people and, try not to gatekeep too much and just welcome everyone into this world. And there's a lot of things that I wish that I learned earlier on that I've learned now. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm going with this. Yeah, I also just started a YouTube channel, so I'll be trying to put more stuff out on my YouTube channel, things like this. So yeah, follow me on that too. So we can get into the meat and potatoes here. First and foremost, I'd say the most important thing is, like you said before, this is not a substitute for taking actual educational materials in the backcountry. Take an avalanche course, start with the free ones that you can access, and then go up and get your level one if you're starting to frequent in the backcountry. That's pretty important. And that's where you gain all this knowledge to keep yourself safe. And then additionally, if you're finding yourself recreating in the backcountry frequently, it's a good idea to start taking some higher level first aid courses. So at least have your first aid, CPR, your wilderness first aid or wilderness first responder. Is good to have at least one or two people in your backcountry group that has those skills, and then they can share with the others. Just in case someone gets really injured in the backcountry, you have to be able to get them out back to people that can take care of them, bring them to the hospital. So that's one thing that I wanted to start with. And then yeah, so as far as, I'll kind of start from the outside. So I have an Osprey backpack. It's 35 liter. And the reason why I love the Osprey is it's got this big open back. So it's got a huge compartment that just opens up to my entire compartment. And so you're with the roll tops, I've found that it's a little bit hard to access the stuff you need because you need a lot of stuff in your backcountry pack. And if you've got a roll top and you're digging in there, you might not be able to find what you need as quick as you need to, or you might need to pull stuff out and get it all wet in the snow. So I really like the open back. Patagonia also makes a really good open back backpack. So that's kind of the preference for me. And then also it's got a pretty sturdy back here, so it kind of has some good support for your back, because I really load mine up and it gets pretty heavy. It's still small but quite heavy, and so you want it to have a good hip strap and then a good back. So that's kind of a key thing when I'm looking for a backpack. Another thing that you want is a specific pocket for all your avalanche gear. You don't want your avalanche gear all mixed in with your layers and your goggles and everything like that. You want it to be quickly accessible on the outside of your pack and separated from everything else. Because when your friend's buried and you need to get your probe out, you don't want to have your probe be all tangled in all your clothes. You want to get quick access. And so I keep mine right here in the front pocket. And I have the longest probe you can get. It's a, let's see, I think it's 320 centimeters. Because if you think about how sometimes in the deeper snowpacks in the backcountry around in Montana, this probe will go all the way to the ground without an avalanche. And so if you think about all the avalanche material that comes on top of that snowpack and how far down your friend could be buried, you want really the longest probe you can get, in my opinion. So I think that's a pretty key thing that I learned. And then obviously you want a metal shovel. Metal shovel is important. You don't want it to be plastic and be able to break, because avalanche debris gets pretty firm. I keep my snow saw in here too. Snow saw can also be good. Obviously it's meant for snow tests and extended column tests, but you can also use a serrated saw to cut any pieces of wood. If there's like something in the way, if you're on a snowmobile, or if you're needing a piece of wood to help with making a sled for someone, you could use it in an emergency. So a serrated snow saw, not only good for snow tests, but good for emergencies as well. And then I have my BCA radio here. It attaches to my strap, and I make sure that's charged and dried off after every adventure. And then so I guess that's most of the snow safety, avalanche safety. And then my beacon, I just got the new Mamu Berry Box this year. And I've used the Tracker 3 for a long time, very reputable beacon, really easy to use. The Berry Box is kind of more of an advanced, like a guide type beacon, and has a really good flagging function for multiple burials. So I've been still trying to figure that out and take advantage of this low snow to practice my rescue skills and everything, and get really familiar with my berry box. So I haven't been bringing the berry box out yet because I want to be really comfortable with it before I bring it out. So I'm still using my Tracker 3, but still working on getting comfortable with this one. And then I always keep it strapped inside of my kit here. So I've got my Trew kit here. This is the Astoria bib, and it's got a specific beacon pocket in here. And I took it out just because I went resort skiing, and I don't like to bring it resort skiing, but I've got it clipped in here, and then I keep it in here, and I always put the screen towards myself, because if the screen is out, then it gets stuck with a stick or something like that, or anything when you fall, then that could break your screen. So that's where I like to keep it, or on the inner layer of your jacket, or underneath your lowest layer of clothing. And then I've got my Astoria jacket here too. So those, as far as layers go, those are when I'm touring, I just do my shell, and then I do a thin base layer, and then sometimes I'll add a puffy. I have a kind of a synthetic puffy here that's light and breathable, or I'll add a Patagonia like a breathable fleece layer. And I find that key to backcountry touring is just layering and making sure you're not sweating. And so you always want to be shedding layers, adding layers, making sure you're not too cold or sweating. Let's see, as far as layers go, I kind of skipped over some of these things here. As far as electronics go, for safety, I always keep my Garmin InReach with me, and I take it out of my pack along with obviously my beacon, radio, and then my chargers. I take these out of my pack every time I go touring, and I recharge them and make sure they're dry. And so that's something that could be easy to be missed when you're going out back and forth, and if you're going multiple days in a row. Even if I'm going 2 days in a row, I still take it out of my pack, charge it, make sure it's dry, put it back in. And I have a list outside my door, which we're going to have a PDF of this list here that you can print out and put in front of your door. And I just make sure I just go through the entire list, make sure I didn't forget anything, because I do take a lot out and put it back in, make sure it's charged up. Along with my InReach, I always have a battery pack with me, because with the InReach Mini, it's difficult to text from it specifically if you're not just clicking the SOS button if you wanted to message someone. So I always make sure I have a charger to charge my phone, because that helps me be able to communicate better with my InReach. And this is a little magnetic charger that goes on the back, so then you don't need a cord, which is nice. I got it at Costco. Get a 2-pack for like $30. Let's see. And then I usually keep my InReach on an outer pocket, like a smaller outer pocket, usually with my snacks just on the top here of my bag. And then I always let everyone in my group know where my InReach is. Sometimes you're the only person in the group with an InReach, and it's important for them to know if I were to get caught in an avalanche, then they would know that when they get me out, they could look in this pocket and find my InReach and get help. So that's something that I like to clarify with all my group members when I start out on a backcountry tour, is where my InReach is. Let's see. And then obviously skins. I put my skins on my skis before I go out usually, especially if I'm gonna be starting from the car. It helps kind of keep your skins if you keep them inside in the house and put your skins on in the house, then it keeps them warm and able to stick longer. So that's usually what I do. I don't put them in my pack. I don't even put them in my pack when I'm out skiing, because if I'm taking multiple laps, I'll take them off and then put them inside my jacket, and that warms them up a little bit. So then they're able to stick a little bit better, and make sure there's no snow on your skis either. So I never put my skins in my pack really, unless I'm done for the day. So
That's a great tip, because I feel like so many times, especially if you're in a place that has like very dry snow and it's dry and cold and it gets stuck onto your skins. And then that happened the other day with me and my friend, and hers were just like constantly falling off the back of her skis. And I have a little pocket for them in my jacket, and I'm always like, I'll just put them in my backpack. But that's a great tip. So just wanted to say that.
Yeah, works every time. And another thing to help with that, with it falling off your skis, is I always have at least 4 Titan straps with me, because the Titan straps can go wrap around the end of the skin and the ski to keep it on your ski if you're having trouble with it sticking. So I always have from 4 to 6 Titan straps with me, just spread throughout my bag. I have it in my emergency kit, in my pockets, and at least 4, because if you lose your skin on all 4 points, then you can help keep it back on, because when you don't have skins that work, that can be a big problem. So yeah, that's a good tip too. Let's see. And then obviously optional things that I'll put on my bag sometimes, depending on conditions, would be an ice axe, crampons, or ski crampons, especially in the springtime if you're working with the melt freeze cycle, where you're trying to be up there when the mountain's icy and not when it's soft. So you're going to be dealing with some icier conditions. Then those are when you want to bring your ski crampons. I honestly always put my ski crampons in my bag in the springtime, because you never know when you're going to need them. Let's see. I talked a little bit about my layering. As far as layering goes, I always bring one more layer than I anticipate needing. Because if you think about how, if you put on all your layers for the temperature that it is, what if you have to stay overnight with those layers? Will you still be warm? And so I always bring my, I always have the layers I talked about. Sometimes I'll bring a bigger puffy jacket instead of that lighter one. And then I always have my little puffy down vest. I just keep it in my bag all the time. And this can make you so much warmer in an emergency situation, to just have this little down vest that packs down super small. And I just always have that as like my extra layer for whenever I need it. And let's see what else than that. I also always have extra mittens. So the mittens I like to have some thin liners for touring. And then I always have my leather mittens. And then I always have some warmer mittens that aren't necessarily waterproof, but for if your hands get really cold. So I always have at least 3 pairs of gloves. My fingers get very cold, and so I just make sure that I'm always prepared, because that could be a bad situation if my fingers get cold. And then I always have a lighter buff and a thicker buff. I'm usually wearing this, and then I'll have this for if it gets too cold. And then I always keep a beanie in my bag, an extra pair of ski socks, because if your socks get wet and you're stuck overnight with wet socks, then that can also be a bad thing. Let's see, sunglasses, sunscreen, lip balm with SPF, because if you're stuck out there in the sun, you don't want to get sunburned. I usually always bring a brimmed hat, and yeah, that's pretty much it as far as my layering goes. And if people have questions, they can pop it in the chat and I can address later. And then I'll go into my emergency kit now, is the meat and potatoes. So I get this, this is a little stuff sack I get from REI. It's 10 liters, but I only usually fill about half of it, or 3/4. But it's just kind of a nice little extra space to have. And so it's basically it's making my own kit with what I feel like would be most necessary in an emergency situation. So as far as medical equipment goes, I just go with this ultralight adventure medical kits that you can get at REI. And it's got pretty much everything you need, from band-aids to ace wrap and all kinds of random stuff. It's super condensed into this small thing. And then some people will just have this in their pack, but I feel like it's necessary to have all these extra things in here for specifically the backcountry. But this is a great place to get most of the stuff, so you don't have to make your entire kit in here. So this is most of the medical supplies that are in there. And then I have a collection of pills that I put in here, like Tylenol, Pepto-Bismol, ibuprofen, and then I just make sure I know which is which. Let's see. And then I've got a space blanket. So and this is super small. But this could be, a huge game changer if you're caught in the backcountry. I would put all my layers on, go inside my space blanket, go into a little snow cave, make a little fire, and this could probably, you could stay pretty warm for the night, I'd assume. I haven't tried it yet. I've been curious about it, but maybe someday. And then here's another Titan strap. I always have a million of them everywhere. I always have moleskin for when you've got those blisters that won't quit. Got a phone cord and an additional phone charger in here for this, because my phone is pretty crucial for my mapping and my inReach. I usually have a thermometer for, hypothermia or things like that. And then I got Quick Clot for if you get cut by a ski, and then a trauma pad. And so you put the Quick Clot and then the trauma pad, and this you hold pressure, and then that can prevent a bleed, or at least make it a little bit less aggressive by the time you can get help. So I feel like that's pretty crucial. And then got some larger ace wrap. There's a smaller one in the emergency kit, but I feel like for bigger injuries, it's good to have one of those. And then a triangle bandage. These are pretty small too, but this could be really, really great for an arm, or really whatever. You can use them for all kinds of things. And then I've got my little fire starter kit. I'm going to probably revamp it this year. It's really just these little fire starter blocks that you get at the grocery store, and then some dry paper. But I think I'll probably beef that up a little bit this year. And then I've got a lighter and a compass, just a little tiny little compass in case my phone dies. And then I've got my trusty Leatherman. Got another mini lighter in case the other one doesn't work in. And then I've always got my extra batteries for my headlamp. My headlamp I keep in a pocket that's more accessible. And then also I have 6 batteries because my beacon also takes AAAs. So got beacon and headlamp batteries. And I've got an edge. It's a diamond stone, just to make if my edges get too sharp, or if I need to be sharper, I can do that on the go. And then I have just this tiny little roll of duct tape, and it's a lot of duct tape on like a paper towel roll. So that could be helpful, but it's much smaller than a normal roll. And then I've got some paracord. So the paracord can be used for many things. If you take a woofer, you'll find all those. Yeah, that's pretty much my little emergency kit. And yeah, I feel like it's always a work in progress. I just took my Avalanche 2 course, and we all went through our kits, and everyone had something that I wanted to add, and I made a list. And I'm going to add some things to my kit, like a SAM splint I'm going to add. I'm considering adding a rescue sled, because they can be pretty small. But I think I'll at least get one to keep in my car, in case someone can go run to the car and grab one of those. And yeah, so it doesn't hurt to always ask your friends of like, what's one thing that you'll never leave outside your backcountry pack, and you'll get some pretty interesting answers. I have a friend that brings a pair of like old sunglasses, because she was caught on a glacier once and lost her sunglasses down, and it was really challenging for her to leave without her sunglasses. So now she keeps sunglasses with her at all times in her little pack, and she'll lend it to people, and so she'll never leave without sunglasses.
That's
So
a good question. I just want to ask the group real quick, what's one thing that you won't leave out of your backcountry pack? No matter what it is. I'm just curious to see what this group says. If you want to share, I'd love to see. Thermos with hot electrolytes, that's good. Chocolate. Yeah, I feel like mine is a really old power bar that I've had in there forever that's like, just in case. Tourniquet. Pocket knife everywhere you go. I keep a tiny pair of baby sunglasses in my jacket pocket, but that's mainly just for fun. Benadryl camp stove. Knowledge meds. Sweet. Those are all good. I was just very curious.
yeah. Yeah, it's a good chairlift question too. Yeah, so that's pretty much my emergency kit, and yeah, it all fits in this little bag, so you can just make your own little kit of what you feel like is needed. Some people do like wire to fix boots or just little trinkets like that, but yeah, I've found that this has worked for me for about 5 years. I've used almost everything in here, so except for the quick flat, knock on wood. But yeah, so that's that guy. As far as food and water goes, that can be kind of a challenging thing I mean, that was kind of a challenging thing for me when I first started in the backcountry. I would just bring a sandwich and a couple snacks, and then I would just feel drained. And then I have a friend that's a dietitian, and he kind of enlightened me about having continual fuel. And so it's really important when you're spending your entire day moving in the mountains from, let's say you leave at sunrise and come back at sunset from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. and you're moving that entire time, you're burning calories that entire time. You can't just do, 3 square meals, and that's not going to fuel you enough. You have, all the ebbs and flows of your blood sugar. So um, I like to have at least 2 to 3 snacks per hour while I'm moving. And then I'll have like one bigger snack for the middle of the day. Um, and then so I'll generally have it be I'll generally just eat every 30 to 40 minutes. I'll just have a snack. I'll just stop, have a snack, or I'll keep it in my little hip pocket and eat while I'm moving. I'll have things like a meat stick, cheese stick, fruit snacks, shot blocks, nuts, granola, chocolate, um, and just kind of like alternating between like protein, carb, sugar, and just kind of moving around from there. And that kind of helps me figure out, or just kind of keep me fueled throughout the day. And then also keeping my hydration every time I take a snack, I take a drink. So that's been really beneficial for me. I've honestly noticed a huge difference in my ability to travel further and be faster was just by fueling myself better. So that's been a huge game changer. So now I bring so much food and I usually just put it all in like a big sandwich bag, just like put it all in together, and then it's like a giant trail mix, and that has been pretty beneficial for that. And as far as water, most days I usually just bring this grande Nalgene, and that does it for me for a full day in the backcountry. And then I have this little tiny one that I strap to my hip strap, so I fill it up, and then I can drink while I'm moving, or I don't have to stop to drink, or don't have to reach into my pack to drink. And every time I stop and take my pack off, I'll refill it. So this has been, it's called a poor man's Camelback, I guess. And it's been pretty awesome the past couple of years. So it keeps me pretty hydrated. So yeah, that's how I fuel myself. Um, yeah. Yeah, and in the car, I also like to keep some extra things in there for, if something happens to someone and they can make it back to the car and come back to you, you can have, extra gloves, puffy jacket, puffy pants, or at least extra pants, extra clothes, extra socks. And that can be a huge game changer for Or if you can make it back to your car and you're just frozen entirely, it's nice to have some fresh clothes there. Yeah, and like I said before, I'm considering just getting a rescue sled to just put in my car and maybe a more beefier medical kit to keep in my car. So yeah, I think that's the change that I'll make this year as well. And that's the thing about all this is your pack is always changing. And as long as you have, there's a lot of things on this list, and as long as you have, the crucial things that keep you safe in the backcountry, then, everything else is just a plus, and everything else is just gonna keep you a little bit extra safer cushion for if something goes wrong. So, and we hope that nothing ever goes wrong, but you want to be prepared if you do. So, yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of things I'm like, oh, that should go in my pack. That should go in my pack. But that's why it's helpful to hear what's in other people's bags and then constantly kind of rework it. Do you want to move towards if people have questions? If anyone has questions?
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. One person had asked if you have any book recommendations for backpacking. I don't know if that's to the person who asked this question, if that's specifically for winter or for summer. It was not specified. Do you have any recommendations, I guess, for either winter or summer?
I guess I don't think I've ever read any books in regard to backpacking. But I did have a recommendation from one of my avalanche instructors with a book called The Dragons in the Snow. And that's obviously not related to backpacking, but related to recreating in the backcountry. And just, I haven't read it yet, but I'm gonna get it. And I guess it's about just different stories and avalanches and how they, worked through it and what they did right and that they did wrong. So yeah, I think that would be an interesting one to read if you're looking for some book material related to the backcountry.
The Dragons in the Snow, is that what it was called?
Dragons in the Snow. Yep.
Cool. I'm just gonna put that in the chat. Does anyone else have any questions about your pack or what to bring, or any questions for Erika specifically? Oh, I had one that popped up. Where do you pack your the extra red bag that has like your medical kit and the other stuff? Do you put that at the very bottom, or do you not have, or do you have a specific kind of layering that you do with your pack?
Yeah. Yeah, I keep it at the very bottom because I do have that big open section. It's really easy for me to access it, even if it's on the bottom. But at the same time, I usually just will stuff like layers over the top and just, I really stuff this bag pretty full. When 30 liters is kind of small for all the stuff I have. But some people will bring 40 when they have all this stuff. But I'll usually strap my coats to the outside, like my shell all strapped to the outside, and then my extra puffy all strapped to the outside. And then I got my helmet on the outside with my goggles. So that offers quite a bit of space inside too. But yeah, I'll usually put it in the bottom, and then just stuff things around it. But yeah. How much my bag weighs. I do not know how much my bag weighs. I should probably weigh it, but it's not that heavy. Um, I think that this guy is probably like 3 pounds, and this is like the bulk of the weight. And then like it's lighter than this water bottle. Um, and yeah, so I feel like my water, food, and this bag are the majority of the weight, and then the rest is like my helmet and layers and stuff. So really, it's kind of like this is everything else outside of this is what I'd expect to be in everyone's pack. And this is kind of like the extras, and it really doesn't take that much space, and it's really light. And so by having all this, it's really kind of it just is a no-brainer in my opinion. It takes time to make it, but I feel like it's pretty crucial to have your own little ditch stack.
Um, Oh, where did it go? Oh, how do you handle making sure your water bottle doesn't freeze?
I guess I've never had my bottle freeze, but Montana is a pretty mild climate. We generally hang out in like 20s to 30s, and sometimes we'll be in the teens. So, yeah, I just throwing this in my pack, it's never frozen on me. This little one will freeze on the outside sometimes because it's hanging out outside in the elements, but it's usually drinkable. So, yeah. But I guess they have those really light hydro flasks now that are not super heavy. Um, that would be a good option probably. I'd say those ones probably wouldn't freeze. Um,
Oh, and then someone had responded and said hot or warm water wrapped in my extra, oh, it moved, puffy or my mini thermos, put drink koozies over the bottom and the top, and then wrap in an extra layer of clothing. That's a great pro tip.
yeah,
And then Julia says, I fill mine with warm water to start sometimes. Yeah. Yeah, I also have never dealt with the water freezing. Like we have cold temps in Colorado, but I haven't had that issue before, but that's definitely a good one because that would really be unfortunate.
it sure would.
Let's see. Extra batteries. Oh, I thought there was a new message, but I'm not seeing it. Oh, I've heard of storing it upside down, so at least the water is closer to the cap. Ooh, I
That
haven't
would
heard.
work.
Yeah, as long as it's very much tightened.
Yeah. And someone else said I carry a pocket knife everywhere I go. I also agree. That's a crucial one. You could fix a lot of things with a pocket knife. And a headlamp and extra batteries. Yeah, crucial. I feel like a headlamp is something that can be, overlooked because but yeah, crucial to have a headlamp. That could be a game changer. Um,
Julia, did you have something you wanted to say? I can't figure out how to unmute you.
Yeah, I can
Oh,
unmute myself. That works.
okay.
Hi, everyone. It's less of a question, but something I figured I'd share with everyone. And I think you kind of touched on it at the beginning, but something that I had to figure out the hard way is how important a good fitting backpack is in the backcountry. It doesn't matter how you load it or what you load in it. Obviously the safety gear, you need that, but night and day for me, with what I was able to carry and how comfortable I felt carrying it, making sure I had a backpack that fit my waist to shoulder range. It just made my backcountry that much easier and made everything just fit so much better in it. So figured I'd share that with you, and I don't know if other people want to comment on that.
Thanks, Julia.
yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like you can't if you're going to be spending all day walking outside with all that weight on your back, you don't want to have a sore back, and yeah, you want to be able to recreate all the time in the backcountry, so better have a good fitting backpack. But local stores and local shops are a really great resource for that. REI, if you don't have a local shop, they're really awesome for just going in there and say, hey, I need a pack for this, this, and this. I want to be able to carry my skis on it, or I want to be able to carry ice axe or whatever, and they can help fit you to one that works for you. And yeah, just utilize your local ski shops to help fit a backpack for you if you're struggling or looking for one.
Erika, what are your sleeping arrangements if you have to hunker down for the night?
Yeah, I haven't, like I said, I haven't, I have overnight camped in the winter. I guess is this for a emergency situation when you're not planning on it, I'm assuming. But if it's an emergency situation that I have not planned for, then I'd probably try to get close to a tree where you have some cover, and then kind of make a little snow cave, and have my space blanket in there and put all my layers on, make a little fire, and try to stay warm. And honestly, it might be worth staying awake to keep a fire going all night than it is to sleep in the cold. So I don't know, so it's a call you have to make if you want to keep a fire going. I also had a friend that brings the inside of a Pillsbury dough, like, or the Pillsbury dough roll, because it's metal, and he uses that as the base of a fire. Because in the snow, it's really challenging to make a fire with, you know, all the wetness going on. So if you have a dry base and then dry materials and then some semi-wet wood probably, then, you know, that dry base will kind of help. So that's something that he kept in his kit, was just the Pillsbury roll, or maybe like foil would work well too. That's something to keep your snow from getting into your fire, would be a good way to spend the night. But yeah, obviously, if you're intentionally spending the night, you want to have a tent and some sleeping pads and things like that. But yeah. Someone said, dig a hole down to the ground, usually warmer than the surface, or learn how to build a snow cave or trench with a roof. Can add some pine boughs to the floor for some insulation. Yeah, pine boughs are good too, for sure. But yeah, I feel like having the space blanket I have a space blanket like cocoon, so it's like a sleeping bag, and you know, you can put your whole body in there, and if you know, build a little snow cave or have your little pine boughs, and that's a really good way to try and stay as warm as you can. And then obviously if you're with other people, your body temperature is going to keep you warm, so you want to all sleep together, close together. That's also a good idea. So yeah.
We have another question. Can you use any type of hiking day pack, or do you need a specific backcountry one?
I'd say that depends on, I guess, if you're just touring inbounds and not, you know, not going into the backcountry, not going into avalanche terrain, I'd say that having a day pack is totally fine. But if you're going into the backcountry where you're going into avalanche terrain, I'd say it's quite important to have that separate avalanche pocket of where you have all of your shovel and your probe needs to be separated from the rest of your things. In my opinion, I feel like that's a huge safety measure, because if you have just one big pocket where you have to, you know, you get your probe stuck in all your layers and everything, and then your stuff goes flying everywhere, and you can't, you know, when your friend is buried, you have 10 minutes, and that 10 minutes goes by really fast. And so I personally think it's worth having an avalanche specific, or like a backcountry avalanche specific backpack. And they probably are about, I mean, the same price as a nice day pack. So, but then again, if you're not going into avalanche terrain and you're just touring the resort, then you don't need to have, you know, that specific backcountry pack. But yeah, that's my opinion.
Thank you. And thanks for answering all these questions. It's awesome to just be able to ask a question and have someone answer it, because sometimes, yeah, it's nice to be able to ask you questions. Does anybody else have any other questions? I'll give everyone a minute. And if anyone joined later, because I know there were a few, make sure you put your email in the chat. That way we can give you a coalition and a Trew goodie, and enter you into winning the gift card. Otherwise, we will have the recording of this posted into the Backcountry beta group along with a PDF. So, because there was a lot of info, and so you can go back to it and kind of look and see what Erika had put in her pack, and be able to kind of make a list of your own, or put the one like on your door, like you said, Erika. So we will have all this information for you all. And thank you so much for spending your Wednesday evening with us. I was just looking at the comments. I get very distracted when I'm finishing a sentence, and then there's the chat right there. But yes, everyone is sharing the sentiment of this being really awesome, and thanking you for being here. Yeah, the Pillsbury dough, that's a neat trick. I'm like imagining where this sits.
Yeah.
back, like what goes inside of it and how to put it there, just like on the side somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Well, thank you all so much. And thank you, Erika and Jess over at Trew. Without both of you, this would not be possible. And it's really cool that we can bring these free sessions to people in the clubhouse. So thank you all. And I will see you all in the clubhouse. Have a good night.
Thanks for joining, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.